I think most Americans don't want their tax dollars going to this.
A showdown over defunding Planned Parenthood. See what's ahead as lawmakers take on the nation's largest abortion provider. Plus, church explosion. An investigation is underway to see how bombs ended up at 2 churches in New Mexico. See what authorities know so far. And these children are turning trash into treasure. See the amazing story of Paraguay's Recycle Orchestra. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. The Senate will vote on a bill to defund the nation's largest abortion provider. Planned Parenthood gets about $500 million from taxpayers every year. Now, a series of gruesome undercover videos exposing the sale of aborted body parts have lawmakers calling for an end to the agency's funding. Our George Thomas is on the story.
4 undercover videos.
I think the per item thing works a little better.
Showing Planned Parenthood's doctors haggling over the price of unborn baby parts.
You can see how much we can get out of it.
Have members of Congress pushing to defund the group's activities.
I think most Americans don't want their tax dollars going to this.
Senator Rand Paul and 23 other lawmakers have introduced legislation to stop funding Planned Parenthood. 40% of the group's money, $500 million, comes from taxpayers.
You know, manipulating the baby, turning the baby around to get to body parts, and then selling the liver, and the doctors cavalierly saying, oh, well, yeah, liver's popular right now for sale. I think when something is so morally repugnant to so many people, why should tax dollars go to this?
Since nearly all Democrats are opposed to the legislation, Republicans will have a hard time getting the 60 votes necessary to keep the bill alive. Still, the issue could come up again during budget talks in October, when some Republicans are threatening a government shutdown if Planned Parenthood isn't defunded.
Well, what do you do for this?
Meanwhile, the group behind the undercover recordings, Center for Medical Progress, says it has 8 to 10 more videos to release, including a segment that reportedly shows that babies were born alive before their parts were sold. But a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order, preventing the pro-life group from releasing further videos. George Thomas, CBN News.
The American Center for Law and Justice will be representing the Center for Medical Progress in that case to defend their free speech right to release the video. Investigators are trying to figure out who bombed 2 churches over the weekend in New Mexico. The 2 small explosions took place about 20 minutes apart in the city of Las Cruces, one at a mailbox in Calvary Baptist and the other in a trash can just outside Holy Cross Roman Catholic Church. The bombings did cause minor damage, but no one was hurt.
I took the bread in my hands and I was saying, take and eat, this is and I was bending over saying, this is my body, when this large bang went off. And I could see the papers floating down. I didn't know what was going on, but I continued on.
Investigators are advising other churches in the area not to risk inspecting strange packages on their own, but to call police if they see anything suspicious. President Obama is unveiling a new plan to cut so-called greenhouse gas emissions at American power plants. He's pushing to slash carbon dioxide limits by 32% by 2030. Opponents plan to sue immediately to block the plan. They say the rules would drive up energy costs, reduce economic activity, and disrupt job markets. A Heritage Foundation study found the president's plan would kill nearly 600,000 manufacturing jobs and cause a loss in income of about $7,000 per person. Many states have threatened not to comply. It will be up to the president's successor to implement his plan. A sudden storm ripped through an outdoor festival near Chicago Sunday, killing 1 person and injuring 15. Authorities tried to clear the area as the storm bore down, but there was no time.
This is horrible.
There was everybody on the floor and we heard screaming and crying. I saw one of my friends on the floor. Her whole arm right here was cut.
High winds ripped tent poles from the ground and sent people running for their lives. The system of powerful thunderstorms moved through the upper Midwest with rain, hail, even tornadoes. In northern Michigan, winds ripped up entire trees, leaving this neighborhood looking like a forest of broken trunks. Wildfires are still raging in Northern California. Fire officials say the flames are fast-moving. So far, nearly 50,000 square miles have been damaged. Dozens of homes and buildings have also been destroyed. Authorities say scattered thunderstorms and gusty winds in the area could create more of a danger. Turning now to Nigeria, Boko Haram is losing ground. Nigerian troops attacked several Boko Haram camps and rescued 178 hostages from the terrorist group's grasp. More than 100 of those rescued are children, and most of the others are women. The Nigerian Air Force reports killing a large number of militants, and this latest mission comes after the army rescued 71 kidnapped people just last week. U.S. intelligence officials say the year-long air campaign against ISIS has not weakened the jihad army. Unnamed sources tell the Associated Press the U.S.-led airstrikes have killed 10,000 ISIS fighters, but that ISIS has been able to refill the ranks with foreign fighters. One defense official says the group's total strength remains between 20 and 30,000, about the same as a year ago. They fled ISIS and were persecuted again. Some Iraqi Christians sought safety and freedom in America, but instead of being welcomed in as religious refugees, they were arrested and sent to a San Diego prison. Gary Lane has this story.
Last year, 300,000 immigrants from Muslim countries were welcomed into the United States. Most came seeking a better life. But what about Christians escaping ISIS?
Our border's open to everyone except Christians.
Mark Arabo is spokesman for the Minority Humanity Foundation. He recently prayed with fellow Iraqi Christians outside San Diego's Otay detention facility. They gathered in protest and support for some of those detained inside. For nearly 6 months now, the U.S. Immigration Service has imprisoned 20 Chaldean Catholics for attempting to enter the United States from Mexico without prior approval. Rarely does the government comment about pending detainee cases. However, Arabo says the INS did tell the families that it lacked sufficient resources to go through individual case files to provide them with an explanation. Arabo suggests the families deserve better.
And so we're going to protest, we're going to pray for the administration and the officials to open up their hearts and minds to the victims of genocide. We're not going to stop, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Iraqi Christian Amr Moshi served as an interpreter for the United States Army during the Iraq War. Militant Muslims threatened his life because he worked for the Americans. Now he's living in San Diego and prays that his 26-year-old cousin Ziad Mati will soon be able to join him. Ziad was taken into INS custody last January. His case is finally scheduled to be heard later this week. Amr wonders why his cousin is still detained. He's not an Islamic terrorist, explained Amr, but a kind Christian who would not hurt anyone.
Ziad will not be harmful to this country, will not be danger to this country. Let him go live with his family. It's not too much. He's young, he can work, he can pay taxes, he can be happy around his family. And his family could sponsor him.
And just moments before this prayer vigil, word came that the mother of one of the detainees inside had died of cancer. The detainee had requested release for a day or two to go see her mother in the hospital before she died. That request was denied. These Chaldean Christians say that's just another example of a broken immigration system. And Amr says many of them now believe America's early troop withdrawal from Iraq is to blame for the rise of ISIS. The militant Islamic group forces Christians to convert to Islam, leave, or die.
They did not finish the mission. And we can't get papers to stay in America. Where we should go now?
When did the symbol of America become a gated fence as opposed to the Statue of Liberty? Give me your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. These are those Christians.
Gary Lane, CBN News, San Diego.
Coming up, CBN is changing the lives of young people in Indonesia. We're going to show you how. The story's coming up after this. Poor and unschooled children in Indonesia are getting a free education thanks to CBN. Not only are the children learning to read and write, they're also being taught godly values. Lucille Talusan brings us the story now from Jakarta.
Rini was in 8th grade when she stopped going to school. Her parents did not have the money to pay for her education. Other children residing in this poor community near Jakarta had a similar experience. Unschooled, they lived without purpose. CBN social workers in Indonesia responded by establishing a school that gives free education to children like Rini and her friends.
At first, I was not really interested in studying. I was lazy and rebellious, but my father ordered me to go back to school. And now, I like coming to this school because aside from the regular subjects, I enjoy learning different skills.
Here, the students are taught how to make the design on the batik, which is the material used to make Indonesian traditional clothes. And this is a skill taught to the students to empower them and to help them earn a living.
Kindergarten students learned values by watching Superbook. Bobby Gafoor is the head of the CBN school.
95% are Muslim students. Every race, every ethnic, and every religion, they can come to our school. The way we reconcile about the religion, we just teach them about the Christian values.
Parents like Maria are happy with their children's development.
My son's behavior has improved. He can now be friends with everybody. He tells me there's this good guy, Isa Al-Masih. He can heal. He can make people see.
Maria was inspired by her son's words. Though a Muslim, she asked the school staff to pray that the lump in her breast would disappear.
I am very happy that they can pray for my healing. Prayer is an expression of love. Thank you for your help and encouragement.
The school is helping to transform the hearts and minds of the students.
I am very satisfied with how they are helping my daughter. Before, she did not help me, but now her behavior is changed. I am very happy that she is able to continue her studies because all her older siblings did not even reach high school.
I came from nothing and now I can learn about anything. I also learned how to dream, to become a doctor someday. Thank you too for teaching me about Jesus because right now I know him well.
And with the right foundation, the future of these young people now looks very promising. Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Jakarta.
Up next, the music of hope, how this recycled orchestra is bringing new life to a hopeless, dirty town. The young musicians in our next story have performed around the world. They've even met European royalty, but they live in a garbage dump in South America. So what is their secret? A visionary director who has taught them to turn trash into treasure. Carolina Martinez brings us the amazing story of Paraguay's Recycle Orchestra.
Cateura, on the outskirts of Asunción in Paraguay, is a community formed around the landfill. Most people here make their living by selling plastic bottles or anything they can recycle from garbage. There is trash everywhere, and poverty and lack of education are a bad combination for the future of its inhabitants. Mainly children and young people who are prone to delinquency and drugs. But for the past 6 years, a light of hope has been shining in Cateura through music, and this is how it sounds. This is the Recycle Orchestra. It's got that name because all the instruments these kids play are made with materials found in the trash. Old water pipes become saxophones. Forks, knives, spoons, and coins become the keys. Cans and bake trays are used to make violins, and percussion drums are made with X-rays and wooden pallets or trash cans. It all started with an idea of an environmental technician and music teacher to take children out of the streets and out of the landfill. Fabio Chavez, who used to be the choir master of his church, directs this innovative project.
This is a social project that uses music as a catalyst. We are working intensively with many families and many children. We propose a life change projected into the future. This is a mission. I feel God's presence. I believe things happen according to His plans.
This mission was also possible thanks to the help of a trash picker, now turned into a luthier. who was from the beginning in charge of finding the materials to manufacture the musical instruments.
Garbage is not garbage. If you have creative ideas, you can do anything with garbage.
I think we have to be grateful for the gifts we have received. And we must be responsible, because those gifts should serve others too. It's like what the Bible says. You can't hide a light under the table. The light has to be where it can illuminate everyone.
And the orchestra is illuminating Cateura. Until a couple of years ago, no one had ever heard of this place. But all that changed thanks to the trailer of a documentary film that is now being released, Landfill Harmonic. In recent years, the Recycle Orchestra has been invited to perform concerts worldwide. It has received awards from the royal crowns of the Netherlands and Spain. Fabio Chavez and the children of Cateura have given lectures at the famous TED conferences, and they are inspiring millions.
Having nothing is not an excuse for doing nothing, and what we're doing is an example of that. I realize that I have nothing to envy because everything happens for a reason, and I know this is all God's work.
Andres is 20 years old and has been in the orchestra since he was 17. He has traveled to more than 20 countries for the concerts, but he dreams of staying in Cateura the rest of his life to transform it and make it a model community.
Traveling around the world opens your mind and makes you think, why can't our country be like that? Why can't our community be like that? Some people are born with everything, others are not, but everyone has to make progress in their own way. This is ours, with music, with recycling. Maybe we are changing part of our society and the mentality of our own people.
In slums like Cateura, even houses are made from recycled garbage. A normal violin would cost more than a house, but here the impossible becomes possible. And the music that comes from recycled instruments is not only giving hope to the children of this community in Paraguay, but also around the world. Following Paraguay's example, in 2014 a recycle orchestra was created in Spain, and it already has 50 children that were at risk of social exclusion. This is the first of several projects that are being inspired by Cateura. Thanks to their hard work and the concerts these kids give, they were able to buy a property where they are now building the largest conservatory in the area, with 20 classrooms to accommodate the 200 children that already attend the music school, and an amphitheater for 300 people. It would also function as a community center, with free crafts classes for all the residents of Cateura. And they are also providing scholarships so all the students have the opportunity to go to college.
The solution is not to run away from a place. The solution is to change the place. You have to have projects first, and then resources will come. It's ideas that change the world.
In Cateura, Paraguay, Carolina Martinez for CBN News.
Beauty for ashes indeed. Amazing story. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Farmers in a mountainous region of El Salvador are getting some much-needed help from Operation Blessing. The farmers had been struggling to grow food and to feed their families, so Operation Blessing teamed up with the government there to hand out fertilizer to about 10,000 families. Now they're seeing a 50 to 100% increase in their crops, and that is providing enough food as well as improving their overall health. Operation Blessing El Salvador is also providing medical clinics where families can see a doctor free of charge. You can find out more about Operation Blessing always by going to its website, ob.org. A former NFL linebacker is issuing an ice bucket challenge to Donald Trump and Taylor Swift. Tim Shaw is a devoted Christian who played in the NFL for 7 years, but in 2012, his career was cut short when he discovered he had ALS.
It's been survived, but ALS slowly but surely takes away your functions and your nerves and your muscles, and ultimately they shut down. It is very feared, but it is not undefeated.
As you can hear, Tim has decided to trust God, and he's fighting ALS by taking the opportunity to challenge some unlikely competition.
Together, we can beat ALS. I challenge Donald Trump, Roger Goodell, and Taylor Swift. Let's do this.
Now you can see more about Tim Shaw's struggle and his testimony at CBN.com. Finally this hour, it is time for your Monday motivation. Ask yourself this question: is it time to let go? I raise the issue because I'm guilty of this as well. Sometimes we hold on to something because it's familiar and it is comfortable, even if it is not the best for us. So consider this. Don't be afraid to lose what you have. It may need to go to make room for the different and better that God has for you. With that, my friend, make this a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it now for CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at CBNnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can always do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Once again, make this a marvelous Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.